What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here. It's probably Saturday by the time you're recording this, but it's technically the first Friday of the month, so it's time for a DM Guild Roundup review. Honestly, this Friday caught me completely by surprise because it was September until, boom, the 1st of October was Friday, so it really threw me off. That being said, I got the titles that I asked for earlier today from the DMs Guild. By the way, a huge shout out to Lisa and the DMs Guild for providing these to me for review purposes. For those of you who don't know how this works, the first of every month, I review a handful of different DMs Guild products. I'm given carte blanche to review them however I see fit. The DMs Guild says, hey, pick out some titles you like. I do, and then I review them, and we go from there. It's worked out so far that the stuff I've picked has all been positive reviews from my part, but we also take a look at the reviews from other folks as well. And I also provide you a coupon code at the end of the video, which will let you know how you can get 10% off an order. The coupon code usually lasts for about a week or so, so something to keep in mind if you purchase things on the DMs Guild going forward. I'm just pulling up the coupon code on my secondary screen so I don't screw that up. Okay, so that being said, it's Fairies and Dragons. I was trying to do a berries and cream, fairies and dragons joke, but it didn't come out right, so either way, that's what I have for you today. As we know, Wild Beyond the Witchlight is out. By the way, the coverage for that is still continuing. And Fizban's Treasury of Dragons is way sooner than you think, guys. It's like less than 20 days away. We'll have Fizban's in hand. So let's take a look at what I'm going to show you. And due to your guys' feedback, which, by the way, thank you for your feedback, you had said you wanted me to not do, I usually do 3 titles. You had said, why don't I went back to 2, and you said we like 3 because it gives us more variety. So that's what we're doing. So first up, I'll go through all 3 titles and tell you what they are, and then we'll go into a deep dive into each. So first up, we have the Feywild Companion here. So for your running stuff, whether you're going to the Feywild or playing Wild Beyond the Witchlight, this will be useful for you. You can see that this did come out on the 20th of September, so basically the day before Wild Beyond the Witchlight. It's a best silver seller. Unfortunately, for being a best silver seller, though, it only has 1 rating of 5 stars. It is $14.99. You can see there's a whole bunch of different reviews from a variety of different channels. We also have the Draconomicon. This came out on August 17th. This is a best Electrum seller already. 4.5 stars for 3 ratings, $24.99. There's a ton of content in all of these, folks, so I can't even go through all of them. If I wanted to, we'd be here for like 6 hours or more. And then lastly, we have Through the Veil, Treasures of the Feywild. Also a best Electrum seller. This one came back in July and is 4.5 stars for 5 ratings. This one is also $20 for the PDF, but you can get a soft cover version in premium and a combo for the same price of soft cover and PDF. I will remind you, we have the coupon code, so keep in mind, wait for the end for that. Let's dive into our PDFs. So first of all 3 of these have bookmarks, immediate points rather for everybody for having bookmarks in your PDF. Yes, I realize that you can just go like this and click through and like scroll through, but if you're viewing this on your phone, it's much easier to pull up the tabs for the bookmarks and click ahead rather than scrolling through your phone trying to find a specific page. So as we can see here, I'm going to sample a little bit of each one. They have a ton of content. This is a 151-page document, Feywild Companion, and you can see it has character options, and these are all also annotated links in the table of contents that you can click on that will take you to it. We have 3 kind of character origins. The first 2 are lineages, similar to the Dampier from Van Richten's guide. The Killoren is a race, which is actually on my list of classic races from 3.5 that I wanted to see come back, so we're going to be talking about that. We have at least 1 subclass for each of the base 13 classes. We're going to be talking about the Evil Eye Sorcerer in this one because I thought it was pretty cool. A couple of backgrounds, a bunch of new spells and feats, several magic items, and then optional rules for things related to the Feywild, like dealing with cold iron weapons. It's a common thing in Fey folklore. Portals and how to get there. A whole section on changing and altering monsters. And then we have a bestiary here with a bunch of different things, some awesome things like the Butterfly Queen, which I thought was really cool. And then we have a little bit about a whole created domain of the Feywild, Dualis, several different encounters, and some adventures as well, and then appendices. So a ton of stuff here for us to unpack. So we're just going to try to jump right in and get to that. So the Killoren race right here off the bat is you are a plant type, which is the first time we've seen a plant type, I mean, or at least that I've seen. I'm sure other people have done this already, but as you know, we've seen with the the Fey creatures that we've gotten in the Satyr and some others that you can have a non-humanoid race. So it says Ancestral Legacy. If you can choose to, I'm sorry, I'm in the greens here. My mistake. Here we are, the killer in. So it is basically, this says increase one of your ability scores by 2 and another by 1, or 3 by 1, similar to the new race ideas we have. And then here's you can make either choose or roll for the environment that you're from. And Killerin are basically like tree people, for lack of a better term. Sorry, you are Fey, not tree. I thought I messed that up. I was reading the wrong one. But anyway, you are Fey. Your speed is 30 feet. You have dark vision out to 60 feet. You have Fey nature, which is the same as Fey ancestry. Rate advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. And one of your main features here is this manifest nature's might ability. So you're bound to nature themselves and manifest this bond as a particular in their physical form. As a bonus action, you can choose to take on one of the following actions. Aspect of the Ancient, which is for the next 10 minutes you have advantage on nature checks and are immune to charm. And then it changes your hair to be white and your eyes to be the color of blue summer sky. Or Aspect of the Destroyer, you make an additional attack if you have the attack action this turn. If it hits, you deal bonus damage equal to your level. And then you have your hair and eye turn a deep lusterless black for 10 minutes. I like this because it's not like super powerful. It's an extra attack, sure, but it's only one attack for the round. There's no guarantee it will hit, but if it does, it gets some boosted damage. Or Aspect of the Hunter. For the next 10 minutes, you have advantage on stealth and perception checks. Additionally, you have advantage on initiative, and your hair and eyes turn a deep forest green. It says, alternatively, you can choose to have your aspects appear either your current surroundings or primary environment in the Feywild. Once you have used this trait, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. I might have changed this potentially. I guess the reason they didn't make it proficiency bonus times per long rest is because Aspect of the Destroyer could become very powerful by having multiple uses of additional attack actions. But it is short rest, so, I don't know, let me know what you think about that. When you get proficiency in a skill of your choice, animal handling, nature, stealth, or survival. I also like that they gave them a racial feat that you can take only if you are a killer in race, which is when you use the Aspect of the Ancient, you can spend the 10 minutes meditating to cast the Commune with Nature spell. I like this because it just takes what we had, and instead of using it for the advantage on nature checks and so on, you could just use it to cast Commune with Nature. The Aspect of the Destroyer is when you hit a target with your Aspect of the Destroyer, they must succeed on a Wisdom saving throw based off your Constitution, or be stunned for 1 round, similar to like a Stunning Strike. And then Aspect of the Hunter, while your Aspect of the Hunter is active, you can teleport up to 30 feet as a bonus action. Once you have used one of these additional effects, you cannot use them again until you finish a long rest. So again, you need to choose, but it adds a little bit more versatility to it, which I thought was pretty cool. All right, jumping on to the Evil Eye Sorcerer here. This is sort of one basically cursed in the Feywild, similar to the Fomorian race, which has a whole kind of cursed elf situation. And there's a whole series of how your curse origin happened. So he says you have Jinxing Spells. You learn additional spells similar to what we've seen for the newer sorcerers. And it says when you gain a feature, you can replace it with any abjuration or divination spell from the Sorcerer, Warlock, or Wizard lists. And your spells are Bane, Hellish Rebuke, Ray of Enfeeblement, Silence, Bestow Curse, Non-Detection, Arcane Eye, Compulsion, Dream, and Modify Memory. Very fitting. You also learn Fomorian Eye as your level 1 feature here. You get Vicious Mockery. Counts as a sorcerer cantrip for you. And if a creature fails their saving throw, you can use a bonus action to lay a powerful curse on them. While under the effects of this curse, their movement speed is halved, and they have disadvantage on ability checks, saving throws, and attacks based on strength or dex. They can attempt a wisdom saving throw against the spell at the end of each of their turns to end it. When they save on this, it does not have disadvantage unless it has disadvantage from another means. And then you can only use it once per long rest. So that's a powerful ability, yes, but it's once per long rest. At 14th level, though, you can use it twice. And I like that. It is strong. There's no guarantee that they'll fail, and they do get to make the save every turn to try and end it. And depending on what they are, some of the, if they don't use strength or dexterity for attacks, they're a spellcaster, that part might not even impact them. Then at 6th level, we get Evolving Curses. Spells you cast ignore resistance to psychic damage, which I thought was pretty cool. And when you deal psychic damage, you can add your charisma modifier bonus to the roll. In addition, a creature first affected by your Fomorian Eye feature from level 1 takes 2d8 psychic damage, 3d8 at 12, and 4d8 at 18. So that gets you a little bit bonus. Just the first time they're affected by it, they get a little bit of bonus psychic damage. And then we get Beyond the Veil at 14. You get Dark Vision out to 60 feet, or an extension of that by 30 feet if you already have Dark Vision. And you can now cast the True Seeing spell without material components. When you cast it in this way, its duration is only 1 minute, and you can use this proficiency bonus times per long rest. True Seeing typically has a duration of an hour. And then we have Vulnerability Curse here at level 18. As an action, you can spend 5 sorcery points to impose disadvantage on all saving throws that a target you can see within 60 feet of makes until the end of your next turn. Additionally, all attacks against that creature are made with advantage until your next turn. Furthermore, the creature is vulnerable to all damage from the first attack that hits it. So that's a pretty strong move. It is a capstone ability. It's level 18, and it does blow 5 sorcery points, of which at that point you only have 18. So I think that balances out pretty well. Like I said, we can scroll through. You can see there's a bunch of different spells, and there's a bunch of feats, a bunch of interesting looking magic items, a whole Fey trinket table, as well as just about fauna and flora, or I guess really just flora of the Feywild. Here's our optional rules for Fey crossings and cold iron, Fey glamours and how to deal with those. Here's a whole section which I thought was really nice and like really meaty about altering the size of monsters and how to adjust the various options up and down, adjusting damage dice and hit points. That I think is really, really cool, especially, and like here's again size category for damage. And part of the reason is, you know, Feywild might have a lot of larger than normal creatures or smaller than normal creatures. For example, here's the gargantuan Feywild butterfly, which would be something where you would size it up, again, or the huge choker here, sizing things up. You can see they have significantly improved damage. Huge skeleton, a large woodwoad, medium quickling, small ogre, if you have a shrunken down ogre. Here's a tiny T-Rex. I mean, it still does 44 plus 4 piercing damage for your little house-sized T-Rex. Or here's your little tiny Ankeg or tiny Blink Dog. These things are adorable, and I think I might put a tiny T-Rex in one of my campaigns because I think it's great. And then again, we move on to the bestiary itself, where we can see we have a variety of different creatures. Here's the Butterfly Queen we mentioned ahead of time. Dark unicorns. I mean, there's all sorts of... And the art in here is fantastic, by the way, if you didn't recognize that already. Some of this is reprinted art, so like this is from 3.5, I believe, this particular piece of art. But either way, Shambling Bouquet as opposed to a Shambling Mound. Shimmer Cat, we got Wendigos, Winter Witch, and then here's the Domain. This is Dualis. Creatures are sometimes smaller or larger than they would seem. Again, tying into the stuff we've already seen, we have our map, two-page map there. The Lord of Reflection, sort of the Lord of Dualis there. And then here's a whole section to come up with a variety of different encounters that you can drop into the Feywild or in any campaign, depending on how you want to set it up. And then there's also the adventure here at the end, which we can get to here. We have the 5 Lords of Shade Willow Pond, which is like, I mean, if you take a look at this is a sizable little adventure here with stat blocks and new unique monsters with maps as well. Then we have the Feywild Hunt, yet another adventure. And then we have Familiars, wild effects here. These 4 creatures are contained in this book that you can use for Find Familiar. Butterfly, the Feywild, Candling Youth, the tiny Ankeg, and the tiny Blink Dog. And then a series of different wild magic surge effects that you can use for your game. Moving on to the Draconomicon, this is another 256-page document, and I hope that Fizban's Treasury of Dragons is remotely close to the love and effort that was put into this book, because it's absolutely amazing. So first off, right out the gate, you can see we have all sorts of interesting things about dragons, famous dragons, games of dragons, the dragon life cycle, eggs. We have a whole thing about bonding with wormlings. If someone finds an egg and wants to hatch it and try to bond with it, there's even a variant for making checks for it. Things about dragon mating, age, dying, the anatomy of a dragon, their metabolism, their planar travel, misconceptions, ecosystems, behavior, hordes, dealing with social encounters. Here's about finding dragons. Here's about fighting dragons. So much stuff here. There's a bunch of different character races as well here, right? We have a draconian variant for the Dragonborn, Kobold. Some of these are reprints, lizard folk, right? And then we have Slig, we have Threekeen. A lot of people like the Threekeen. Troglodyte as a playable race. We have a bunch of different racial feats as well. And a whole bunch of dragon-themed spells, which I thought were really cool for a bunch of different classes here. And some of these are classic ones that I've mentioned in the past that I thought would be really neat to see come back, like Dragon Sight. And then you have some interesting ones I thought, like Find Humanoid Familiar was an interesting one. But we've got for a variety of different classes here. And then there's some that are summons of different kinds. Here's Draconic Might right here, giving you a +5 bonus to Strength, Dex, and Con. as well as immunity and immune to magical sleep and paralysis. And then we have the magic items, which we have some reprints of dragon-related magic items, but there was a couple here I wanted to show off. So we have, for example, the Draconomicon itself, the Circlet of the Worm, the Draco Mystere. These are ones that I've mentioned that were in the original Draconomicon that have made a comeback. Some of these, though, do look like they were ported almost directly from 3.5, and I don't think that that's necessarily the best thing. Like, for example, the Dragon's Eye Amulet gives you blind sight to 30 feet and a flat plus 10 bonus to perception checks. Anything that gives you a plus 10 bonus to a check in 5e is a little nutty. I don't think we've ever seen anything give you more than a plus 5 in the form of a magic item. But either way, let's see. We have, what else do we have in here I wanted to look at? We have a variety of different weapons. Here's Jaws of the Dragon. This I thought was interesting. This is one from, again, the original Draconomicon. They're basically applied to a dragon's mouth to increase their bite force. Such attacks deal damage equal to a d8 plus your strength mod plus a d4 of the corresponding type. While wearing these false teeth, you can replace your unarmed strike with a bite. It says the DM chooses their damage at random. Kind of get your Jaws Bond villain on. And the original Draconomicon, they also had them as... that looks like it's its own thing, but they had them as augments for dragons. We have a whole dragon worm-based golem series of books. We have the Ring of Dragon Shape, the ever-popular turn yourself into a young version of a dragon via like a polymorph, which was always one of the ones that everybody wanted to have. We even have some of the consumables as well that were from that, like the draw of metallic dragon blood and things like that. All right. Moving on, we have probably the big one here is like the bestiary. So we have arcane dragons here. We have both hex and tome dragons. Then if you see along this side, we have a huge amount of chromatic, brine, onyx, brown, blight. I think it's Ratlier, yellow, gray, fang, purple, crimson, and crystalline dragon. Here's some cool art for the crimson dragon here. Some of these are templates that can be applied. Here's again the mutations, for example, for the crimson dragon. Here's a crystalline dragon, another template. So some of these are templates, some of them are full-blown stat blocks. So for example, here's the adult celestial dragon, adult moon dragon, and we can see we have stellar and sun dragons as well. We have gem dragons expansions here. We have amber, amethyst, ectoplasmic. Let's go take a look at that one. Well, that's an amethyst dragon. Oh, ectoplasmic is a template. Okay. So, pale and mostly translucent, an ectoplasmic dragon uses the amethyst dragon stats, but it is chaotic neutral, has a swim speed equal to double its walking speed. It does not have body equilibrium trait or the force blast breath weapon. It is immune to the negative effects of planar travel, typical of most dragons. It can enter the ethereal plane and material plane kind of at will. It lacks the innate spellcasting ability of amethyst dragons, but it does have a new reaction called ectoplasmic cocoon. If a medium or smaller creature within 100 feet of the dragon damages it, the dragon can force that creature to make a dex save against the spell save DC. On a failure, the creature is encased in a cocoon. Its AC equals half the dragon's AC, and has hit points equal to 10% of the dragon's maximum hit points. The target can still breathe, provided that there is air directly outside of the cocoon, but is paralyzed. The area of the cocoon is heavily obscured, and a creature within cannot be affected by outside forces. So we have Crystal, Emerald, Jacinth, Jade, Moonstone, Obsidian. We've got all of the dragons here, right? Pearl, Sapphire, Topaz, and Incarnum. We even have the Lung dragons, which are the kind of Chinese-style dragons like this, a whole variety of those. We even have expanded metallic dragons, adamantine, chromium, cobalt, electrum, hollow, iron, mercury, mithril, nickel, orium, steel, tungsten. And then the planar dragons, amphibious, aquatic, battle, blazeworm, fire, blizzard, frost, frostforged, chaos, deathmask, dragon eel, sea dragon, earthquake dragon, ethereal dragon, hades dragon, hellfire worm, howling dragon, mirage dragon, mist dragon, oceanus dragon, pact dragon, pyroclastic dragon, radiant dragon, rust dragon, styx dragon, tartarian dragon, tempest dragon, and wretch dragon. And if that wasn't enough, we even have the other series of dragons in the other kind of the different ones. Air dragon, brain stealer dragon, Cerulean dragon, force dragon, prismatic dragon, red hawk dragon, my personal favorite, the song dragon, and the Vishap dragon. Then we have deity avatars. We have Bahamut. We have Growlgothor. This is the Ferris dragon god. Then we have Sardior the ruby dragon, and then obviously we have Tiamat. And then we have a whole section here for DMs in the back. adding other age categories to the dragons, expanding options and give dragons more things to increase and change the way the combat is handled. We have innate spellcasting builds, which I really, really appreciate this. Because I've said it before, and it's very loosely referenced in the Dungeon Master or the Monster Manual, that like you can give dragons spellcasting, and it doesn't give you a ton of information on it. So this is giving you basically templates of different things to add to the different dragons. So if I want to run a healer style dragon, these are the spells I can drop on it, right? Or if I want to run an illusionist or a mentalist, so it gives you all these different options to help make things easy for you, so you're not trying to pick through a whole series of spells. Takes that out of the way there. And we have different hazards and traps for various dungeons, and then a whole section on building dragon-based encounters, servants, minions, and so on, and then a nice appendices at the end. And lastly, we have Through the Veil, Treasures of the Feywild. Now this one is basically just a magic item book, which I thought was awesome because players and DMs alike can enjoy this. And they have a whole variety. It's broken down into UCC weapons, armor. Collections are sort of, if you're familiar with like MMOs and other video games, like armor sets, or if you have multiple pieces within a set. We have the collections, then we have wands and rods, and then it dumps into wondrous items. And then after wondrous items, we have adventuring gear, trinkets, consumables, and then tables. So some stuff that I wanted to show you guys that I thought was interesting from this one, just some fun ones that I grabbed, were the Snowballs of Winter. These are a common magic item. They are a dart, but basically it is an unmelting snowball with a range of 20-60 that does a d6 plus your dex mod cold damage. So you're basically throwing these unmelting snowballs. And the target speed is reduced by 10 feet until the end of their next turn. It is possible to reduce a creature's speed to 0 with multiple hits. So similar to like a Ray of Frost, you can lower their speed, but if you're pegging them constantly, you could drop them down to 0 speed, and I thought that was really interesting. All right, what else did I have? I had Wind's Razor here I wanted to show you, which is a chakram, which is basically Xena chakram here, or chakram, however you want to pronounce it. But basically it says this is a +1 to attack and damage on a critical hit. It can leap from one target to another within range, roll an additional attack against the new target. The creature can be used up to twice in a round, hitting a maximum of 3 targets. Regardless of how many it hits, it immediately finds its way back to the owner, and they give you the options here. It is a d6 slashing damage, finesse, light, thrown, and a 20-60 range. And then we had some armor. There's one I wanted to show you. I think it's a wondrous item. I skipped over the armor, and we moved into the wondrous items here. There was a belt I liked a lot. The Belt of the Green Knight I thought was really cool. They all have a little bit of lore information on them as well. This is a very rare paladin-specific item. My face is kind of blocking it, but I'll read it to you. While wearing this belt, your strength score increases by 1 to a maximum of 20. That's only by 1 is kind of meh, but the other benefits are where it's at. Once per day, when reduced to 0 hit points, you instead drop to 1, and a green light bursts from your belt that targets all creatures within 5 feet of you with the Fairy Fire spell. DC 15. This effect lasts until the end of your next turn. So I like this. It gives you a little bit of passive bonus in the strength, but when you go down, you not only get like a free death ward, it also pops off a Fairy Fire to potentially give you and your allies advantage on attacks against creatures nearby. It says against all hostile creatures within 5 feet, so it won't harm your enemies as well, which I thought was pretty sweet. Like I said, there's a ton of different options. Right here's the collar of the Blink Dog. This collar fits any medium or smaller creature that has a neck around which it can place. When this collar is put on the beast, an animal companion, a familiar, or a creature summoned by the Find Familiar, Find Steed, or Find Greater Steed spell, it gains the ability to cast Blink on itself once per day, essentially giving a Blink Dog's ability to any creature, more or less. And then I wanted to just jump down real quick to the end here to show off. We have different just like flat-out adventuring gear options here. Bird whistle, we have the breaker box, small one box, 6-inch square. When a small item is placed inside it and the lid is closed, the box breaks the item down into its basic components. For instance, diamonds are ground into diamond dust, the child's doll is broken into individual segments and libs, and so on. That's like a super simple thing, but like people could probably find a ton of uses for it. Crystal compass, right? It points to the nearest flock of griffins instead of north. It's obviously very Feywild themed items. Honey skin, any water stored in this skin takes on the taste of honeysuckle nectar. Little simple things. These kind of things, I guarantee you, these silly little freebie things go a long way to make players like really get invested in the world and want to buy this kind of stuff. And then we have a whole massive, awesome table of trinkets here as well. And then we have consumables, right? Who doesn't love a good consumable? Whether they be basilisk root powder or boggled water to enchanted wines. Let's look at the Mind Fire wine. When you drink a potion of this liquor, you gain increased sensory input and have advantage on investigation and perception and insight checks. However, this powerful intoxicant clouds judgment and reasoning, giving you disadvantage on all other wisdom and intelligence checks. Lasts for an hour, and drinking more than one single potion has no effect. So I always like the concept of magical booze as well. And then we can see we have a variety of different roll tables for use in our games. So there you go, folks. There are affiliate links for all 3 of these DM's Guild products in the description down below. What does it mean as an affiliate link? It means if you do happen to pick it up via the links in the description, then I do benefit very minorly monetarily if you're kind enough to do so. Let me know what you think. We went back to 3 tomes this time. There was a lot to cover, so this video was a little longer than I wanted it to be. But, Feywild Companion, 151 pages. The Draconomicon, 256 pages. Through the Veil, Treasures of the Feywild, 176 pages. There's a lot of content here to go through, and to just be able to give you a little sampling of each took a long time of reading through everything. And they even went and showed you some stuff that I hadn't been planning to show. If you're running any kind of game, some of these magic items would be awesome to throw into them. Specifically, if you're doing Feywild, I highly recommend you check them out. And that Draconomicon belongs. The only travesty is that particular version is not available via print on demand, which again is not their fault. That's the DM's Guild. They make the decision on what gets print on demand and what doesn't. So they might not want to do that either because of the whole Fizzbands coming out in less than a month. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you all next time. Oh yeah, and that coupon code that I forgot to tell you is NerdWild10. All one word, NerdWild10. 10% off, $10 or more community-created content through next Friday. Anyway, I'll see you next time.